All right, so good afternoon, and we are live. Welcome to today's live stream. It's Tuesday Live with Coach Wendy. And yes, my name is Wendy Logan. I'm the founder of the Intentional Parent Academy. Today, we are looking at the questions. 5 questions every potential parent must know about sex and how to answer them. There are a lot of questions that your children are asking. And, many of the times I realize that, yes, this is an uncomfortable topic. Yes, and it's our month of sex educate your child like a pro. All right. If you're here and you can hear me, you can see me, please put an emoji in the comment section. All right. Telling me that you can see me and that you can hear me. All right. If you can see me, you can hear me. Let me see you live here. Thank you so much for being part of our journey and for following through. So, anytime we talk about sex conversation, there's this discomfort that comes with it. There's this, seeming discomfort that parents do not like. All right. And, most of the times you find out that it is not uncommon. You need to practice to talk about sex until we get used to it. So a few days ago, my daughter was around and I was having a conversation with her about the vagina, the health of the vagina. I have had this conversation so much that as I'm talking, she's repeating. I shared a post this morning. As I'm talking, she's like, yes, a healthy vagina is supposed to be like this. As in, I have to get comfortable. And she has also gotten comfortable, having that conversation with me. But it didn't come easy. It didn't come so easy. It was one of the most difficult things I also had to do. So many of the times, I am, I can feel when parents say, oh, I can't. Oh, by the way, my mom is here. That's how on the stream. Thank you so much. My mom is always here on every Tuesday live. That's, so much consistency for one old woman of over 70. Thank you so much, Mom, for being here. I love you. I appreciate you. All right, so let's move it. Okay, if you can see that in the comment section, you can help me rave over this woman who raised the amazing Coach Wendy. Thank you. All right, so let's move. So there are so many things that about this conversation that gets us uncomfortable, and then it gets us to the point where we want to lie. You want to, because you're so uncomfortable with some questions, you would rather go around it and say something that is not the right thing, because there is just so much to this conversation. Now, how to answer tough parenting conversation. This is going to be one of the modules that we're treating at Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro. Now, when you take, I'm going to be sharing just 5 with you. We're going to be talking about answering, I think about 15 of them or 20. And that is going to encompass, a lot. Talking about it at different ages, different stages. When you take an open and honest approach to sex conversation, it means that you usually need to answer those questions, tough parenting questions about sex, instead of avoiding them. All right. There are some children that ask you up to 73 questions a day, and many of the times you're looking at the best way. A lot of parents have asked me, so when your child talk to you about where do babies come from, what is sex, and all of that, how do you answer those questions? One of the things that I want you to know, right? I want you to know is that every single sex conversation question must be answered honestly, knowledgeably, and structurally. Help me put that in the comment section. You must answer it knowledgeably, honestly, and structurally. If you answer those questions without skill, you can actually make a mess of your process. This is very important. I see quite a number of parents tell me, oh, we started having sex conversation. I'm the one that's teaching my children know, and all of that. But there is no structure to it. And there is no knowledge behind what it is that you are actually doing. I just want you to follow me, right? And some of these questions, I'm just going to be sharing just a few, how you can answer these questions and the things that you must do. Now, before you answer any of these questions, there are things that you must do. Number one, you need to make your child feel comfortable. So your child comes to you and says, when can I have sex? Don't go haywire. Don't start preaching. Hello, religious parents. Don't start telling the child how they will go to hellfire if they had sex before marriage. They're not going to hellfire. Scratch it. Don't tell them how, this thing, how can you be talking about sex? You are only 12. No. Just take it out. The first thing you want to do is to help them feel comfortable. How comfortable your child becomes when they ask you difficult questions is directly proportional to how they would listen to you when it comes to sex conversations. Many of the times when we are responding to our children as regards sex conversations, we shut them out. And when we do that, we end up closing the door on what it is that we should be talking about. Now, so help them feel comfortable. You must help them feel comfortable. How do you make a child who asks you that question to feel comfortable? Number one, you should tell them that, oh, this is, is it so interesting that you are asking this kind of question? Now, I would like you to tell me, what do you know about it? That's you making the child feel comfortable about the question they are asking. Number two, show that you're listening. A child asks you, Mom, what's sex? You're pressing your phone. And you're like, if you want, go and be listening to all the nonsense that they're telling you. And all of that, you continue pressing your phone. You've already lost that child. The first thing you want to do is drop your phone and listen. Oh, wow. What do you know about it? That already shows your child that you have their interest at heart. Number three, you would need to stay neutral. When I mean stay neutral, you would need to, that's why emotional intelligence is so important on your journey as a parent. You would need to be patient enough, be neutral enough to understand what it is that your child is talking about. If you fly off the hook of the window trying to attack, what it is that the child is going to tell you becomes null and void. The next one is that you need to, the next one is that you need to be open and honest. Open and honest. If you're not open and honest, remember, there is Uncle Google. They will ask Uncle Google, and Uncle Google will provide answer. Remember, there are their peers. If they ask their peers will give them answer. So answer it honestly. Be open about the question. The next thing you must do is that you must answer it with facts and with knowledge. What are the facts surrounding that particular topic? Many of us share this topic without facts, without knowledge, because we don't even know what it is that we're supposed to be saying. And that's why there is Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro. If you're listening to me, you have not subscribed to be part of Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro. We currently have about almost 6,000 parents as we speak today who have subscribed to be part of Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro. If you look through the comments, you're going to see the details, or you can just use the link in the description. It is only 6 days away. It is only 6 days away. And on Monday, we go live, 5 different sessions just for 3,200. That's a token. That's even less than what you burn on data watching a skit. Do that for your life, for the life of your child, right? And come and learn what exactly to do. Because you need knowledge to share facts. Somebody said, there is now Grandpa Chat GTP. That's it. Uncle Google, Grandpa Chat GTP, who will give your children express whatever about the sex. So if you want to lie, now you lose. You want to lie, it's fine. Now you go lose, last. So don't lie. And then the next one, you need to learn to use the right language. there is a right language when it comes to sex conversation. If you tell your child, where did you learn that from? It's not the same thing with, oh, really? What do you think about it? Your tone, your language, whatever it is, you need to get that right. If you don't, you make a mess. The last one, you must be clear about confidentiality. You must be clear about confidentiality. If your child cannot trust that what they have told you will stay with you, you ain't gonna hear nothing anymore. Some people, their children, are talking to them about about sex conversation. Then they finish, they now hear you on the phone. Me, I have very close friends that I tell some things, right? They hear you on the phone. Hey, hello. Do you know what this guy came and told me? If you want to have that conversation, make sure that you have it where your child will not hear. The moment your child senses that you have opened your mouth to just chatter, so that when that auntie comes, or sometimes you finish telling the auntie will come and say, hey, did they say that you started thinking about sex, started thinking about boys? And then the child is totally embarrassed. See, your children, I'm going to be teaching how your children should not be used as your trophy or as an embarrassment tool at Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro. This is very key. And I have seen that this is a major when it comes to sex conversations. We just open our mouth, wow, just say things. Just say things. Do you know that the other day, me and this my daughter were talking about this, and then you just go boom and just say all kinds of things. What do you think your children think about it when it happens? So you need to be clear about confidentiality. Let your child know that, yeah, it's fine. You can ask any question you want. I'm not going to talk about it. You don't even need to say it. You must insinuate it. Because sometimes it's not just about what you say, it's also about your body language. Now, number one, what is sex? When your child asks you what is sex, please follow this guideline. Follow this guideline. Number one, and let me talk a bit about protecting confidentiality. When I have a conversation with my daughter that I need to talk about, I used to teach, I ask her first, will it be okay if I teach parents about this using our conversation? If she does not give me a go ahead and I don't use it. Never you ever film your child having this conversation and post on social media. Say some of us, there's something about social media that makes us mad. You see somebody disciplining the child and filming it. And when you finish discipline, that's the latest. You discipline a child. You want to film it. I don't know what you want to prove. And then you post it. I've seen people teaching their children sex education and filming it and posting it on social media. Is there something wrong? Why? Sex is a private talk. Don't embarrass your child. And don't forget that the trail on the digital system is going to be on your children in the years to come. You don't want that for your child. If you think that is something you need to teach with, please, as much as possible, avoid video trails and picture trails and all of that. If you need it to teach with it. And please make sure if your child it's already above 10, ensure that you actually take permission. That's the right thing. Because it is private. Stop going mad on social media. It is private. It's a private talk. The internet never forgets. That's the word. It's a private talk. Don't keep just going everywhere and just, filming anything that you see. Your child gets embarrassed. Then you film it, you put it on social media. One auntie now calls and say, the other day I saw what your mommy posted, though. And you're now a grown-up. You're now asking these kind of questions. What kind of talk is that? You are shooting yourself on the leg. Stop it already. Stop disciplining your children and filming and putting on social media. What is that? Is it you want to trend? It's okay. I will reserve this for the basketballs that is coming. for people in Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro. Register for that class if you haven't already. Now, when your child asks you this question, what is sex? Please make them comfortable. Let them know what sex is. How do you do that? The first thing you want to do is that you want to show that you're listening, and then ask your child what they know about what they're saying. Because see, sex education is about listening more than it's about talking. You're raising children who are very knowledgeable. Do not forget that. Highly knowledgeable people. So when you're talking to them, you want to find out, what do you know? It doesn't matter whether your child is 5 or 6. If your child is 5 and already knows what sex is, it will be better for you to explain it to that child the way they will understand it than trying to sweep it under the carpet, thinking, oh, they don't really know what they're talking about. They don't really know what they're talking about. If you have a child who is 5 who says, what is sex? Find out from the child. Listen to what your child isn't saying. Find out from the child, okay, what exactly did you hear? What do you know about it? Don't make it, so where have you heard that one? No. Your tone, your language of this conversation, remember, is one of the biggest tools that you have. So the first thing you want to do is, oh, really? What do you think that is? And then your child will later say, oh, I don't really know. I heard it from a classmate. Or, oh, I heard it from somebody. They were talking about a woman and a man, meeting and all of that. They will tell you what they know. From there, that's where your conversation takes off from. Your conversation doesn't take off from talking. Hello, parents. Sex conversation takes off from listening. If you can't listen, you can't have this conversation. You need to settle in to listen to what your child is saying and what they are not saying. So this is not a question. Some people will say, oh, coach, give us tips. What do I say when my child says this? What do I say? Let me tell you the truth. If you're here, you've come in contact with the Intentional Parent Academy, you're looking for tips and hacks. Newsflash. The system we're going to be teaching at Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro 3.0 is a system that takes you step by step so that you'll be equipped to actually understand how to tackle a question. So if you think that you're going to come to us and we tell you, oh, when they say what is sex, you tell them sex is this. When a woman, it will take effect from your child's level of understanding, level of exposure, and what they know. If you can decipher these 3 things, believe you me, that's it. There are no shortcuts. Stop looking for tips and hacks. People are always asking me, oh, just tell me, when do you start? What do you start with? Tips, hacks. You are killing yourself. Somebody is asking me about tips. At what age do you start? You start the day you have a child. That's the day you start having sex conversation. This is very important. That's the day you start having sex conversation. How? Come to the Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro Challenge 3.0. You will learn how. It's simple. I'm not going to teach you a 5-module course in one hour. Or you think that, oh, by joining the Tuesday Live every Tuesday, you're going to be able to actually get everything. You just get tips and hacks. You need the system. So there's nothing like, what should I tell my child that is asking me about sex? You need to follow a process first. What you would tell child A is not what you would tell child B, because the principle behind it is understanding where your child is developmentally, understanding what your child knows at the time, and understanding how you can tackle it based on the knowledge that your child has. And then the knowledge you have will not help your child. So looking for how to say, oh, this is how, one answer. The principle is the same. The methodology must differ. So does parenting have a manual? Yes. The manual is the principle behind it. A few days ago, I was teaching the parents in the inner circle, and I was teaching them about dating plan. See, if you're not in the inner circle, you're listening to me, book a slot today. wait for that academy 1st of December. It's not because we run it. It is because you need it. It is because it's a gateway to where it is that you're actually good. I was teaching them about dating plan. I know the marriage plan and dating plan. I know many people do not understand what it is. If you have heard about dating plan, it's probably, what you heard, what you read on the internet, they told you, when you are going out, do this. There is a foundation to it. Don't go and destroy your child on top experiment. There is a foundation to it. And if you want to know more about the inner circle, look at this scroller that is scrolling down. The moment is 1st of December, we go off. And if you do not, if the slots are filled up, all right, the slots are filled up before that time, we close it. Registration, you will stay 1 year, and we are very unapologetic about it. We don't take people in the middle of the years. We will confuse you. And the aim is not to confuse, is to get you to the systems. All right? This is very, very important. And while I was teaching at that webinar, we talked about how to actually structure dating plans, how to actually structure. And parents now saw that it starts from age 0. It doesn't start from, dating plans does not start from age 10 or age 16. That's not where it starts from. It starts from age 0, when you have your child, because it must start foundationally from the family values. Do you create family values to teach at age 10? That's what the problem is. That is where the problem is. So there's literally little that you can learn if you are not getting it right at the conversation stage, the foundational stage. There's a foundation. So even if your child is age 0, all right, even if your child is age 0, please get into the academy, get into sex educate your child like a pro. This is what you need to start to do. It's not because Coach Wendy has told you to. No. It's because if you don't start at that time, there is something called windows of opportunity. A few days ago, yesterday, I was having a conversation with my friend, and she's here, Auntie Tima. And, we're talking about learning to swim. She's just learning how to swim. And we were talking about how difficult it is for you to get to do the things that you should have done as a child. And, it's now something you're struggling with. It's a lot of struggle. And I said something to her. I said, the window of opportunity to learn that thing naturally has passed. So you're not learning it when you should have learned it naturally. You're going to struggle. If you get into a time where your child should be learning something naturally and they're not, your child is going to struggle. It's not a course. It is the truth. That's why parents find it difficult to begin to teach their children study skills at age 16. Meanwhile, your child who is age 5 should have started learning study skills at age 5. It's difficult. It's not as easy. So when you lose the window of opportunities, it becomes a struggle. So the earlier you start with your child, the better. I wrote something in my note. I said, having continuous, smaller, less pressure-filled conversations over time, instead of trying to set a stage. When you hear about sex conversation, parents will tell me, I've sat down, I have now talked to my children about sex. We started today. And meanwhile, sex conversation is not a one-time thing. It is something that you need to break down in pieces over the years, according to the developmental stage of that child. I'll give you a very typical example. My daughter and I, when I was talking about having conversation on vaginal health, we used to even make joke of it, the health of a vagina. And we talked about it 2 years ago. The first time we started talking about that conversation was when a doctor actually said on my report, you have a very healthy vagina. My daughter said, what does that mean? We started that conversation. It was difficult for me to even begin to talk about it. But I began to realize that if I don't talk about it, who's going to talk about it? And then recently, when we now started talking about it, it was a smaller talk in that time. This time, it became a bigger talk. It became a more robust talk. It was something that we could flow in. It was no longer uncomfortable. In fact, it was in between we made jokes. In between we clapped hands. In between we jump up. So if you have a child who is young, Starting conversations like hygiene could start with smaller stuff and then you make it consistent. Instead of just sitting and waiting, I'm waiting when my child turns 16. I have seen parents who are so struggling because their children are 16 years old and they're trying to teach them how to cook. It's a whole lot of struggle. Meanwhile, at this stage, our daughter is 13. I am no longer thinking, oh, I'm busy, you need to go and cook. No, 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 no. I'm not even thinking it. At the TRB Fathers Conference over the weekend, I had food, come upstairs every time that she just bring food. The next thing I just see that she has, done something and all of that. And the interesting thing, there was an older adult in the house, but it didn't matter. She just took charge. It is about the process. If you try to do it, somebody sent me a chart after we did creating marriage plan and dating plan in the inner circle yesterday, and said, oh, you talked about your son and leadership drills. How can I get my child to begin to do leadership drills? And I asked the person, how old is your child? He said 16. I told her, I said, you are late, but you can try. If your child begins to do leadership drills from age 3, then you're good. It is easy. When you see your 10-year-old walk, you will see that their 10-year-old walk can lead themselves. Talking about it, and if you want to learn more, all right, about what I mean about leadership drills, you can check the book, Raising an Independent Thinking Child. All these books, we read them in the inner circle and we dissect them. All right? This is one thing. So it's a continuous process. Parenting is not a one-off. Parenting is not a spa, it's a marathon. I told that to the inner circle parents this morning in my voice note this morning. Again, if you're not in the inner circle, I can't really help you so much. Really. But if you have doubts, it's okay. Get into the sex educate your child like a pro first. Be there and then learn what it is that you need to do. It's only a few days to go. We're starting on Monday and registration closes, on the weekend. Now, so what is sex? So you answer according to what it is that you can hear. Remember, I said that the conversation starts with listening first before teaching. All right? So if your child is 5 and already tells you that a classmate says sex is when a boy and a girl goes into the room, and it is time for you to teach what is right. Because if you don't, the child will also be curious enough to go and find out what it is that they should know. Number 2 question, when can I have sex? That's another difficult question that, parents are usually very agitated answering. So your child comes to you and says, when can I have sex? The same procedure. Help them to feel more comfortable. Oh, that's interesting. Let them feel more comfortable. Let them know that you are actually listening, and it's fine. That they are asking, they are curious enough to begin to ask that. Don't make this sex conversation look like the devil is in your home once your children mention sex. That's not true now. That is not true. As a teenager, you were thinking sex. So please, stick it. What your children need now is guidance. That's what they need. They don't need you trying to prove Meriamaka. All right? They don't, that's not what it is. So when can I have sex? Number 1, this conversation is going to stem from your belief. While some people believe that sex is nothing, when the child is 18, once they can, see whatever, it is okay. Some people believe, according to their beliefs, that no, sex is only reserved and preserved for marriage. That is my personal belief. Your personal belief might be that the child might want to try, but be very sure that you're teaching what you believe in. This is very, very important. All right? So when can I have sex? Answer according to your values. That's why the first place to start with this conversation is to create a family value system. If you don't know how to create one, of course, if you're not in the inner circle, that means you don't have. If you don't know how to create one, please, you can see we have on an Amazon store, just put Wendy Ologe, you can find it, or you can also go to our seller store. You will find our book, family value guides. That will put a lot of things in perspective. All right? So you share according to the value that you have with your family. Right? I hope you're sharing this. I hope you have shared it with a family member. All right? With a family member. I hope you're sharing this with a friend, because people really need to hear this. Okay? My husband actually has sex conversation with my daughter. There's an inner security she feels. Yes, there is sex conversation that is appropriate for a father to a daughter. We're going to be teaching this at Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro. And there is a sex conversation that is appropriate for a mother to a mother and vice versa for boys as well. Don't just, don't just come out and just say, oh, I know what it is that I'm teaching. Please come into that class and learn. Somebody said, when can I have sex conversation? This conversation, yes. When can I have sex? Yes. It stems from your family belief. So stay neutral, all right? And emphasize, listen to why he said it, what it is, all right? That it is that he's also talking about. And be open and honest about it according to your value. And make sure that this value is not contradicting how you live. Make sure that this value is not contradicting how you live. Somebody said, what if my children are not asking these questions? They are asking someone else. Or they are asking Grandpa ChatGTP or Uncle Google. Quote me anywhere. If your children are not asking you these questions, it gets why there's no child that is not asking this question. None. Your child is asking. It means that you have not built any connection at all, and it's risky. You are in a risky place. Your child is getting sex conversation from their peers, from Uncle Google, from Uncle Grandpa ChatGTP. Where is that, Omolola? Than Grandpa ChatGPT. All right? Which is very important. Somebody is asking, how do I get my husband to be involved? You just need to keep teaching. Many men were not taught what to say. Many men shy away from this conversation. Even women, it's difficult. So you just need to keep, getting them to understand. Get them to come to Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro. They will learn what to say. Many of them don't know what to say. Even you don't know what to say. That's why you're not saying it. All right? Or even how to say it. Okay? So don't kid yourself or don't tell yourself, I know what I'm doing. My children are not asking. It means that they are very innocent. They're asking, they're not just asking you. Get why. Go and find out. Go and do your own work well. All right? Go and do your own work well. Your 5-year-old may not have knowledge to start asking that question. They will. Your 5-year-old will ask you things like, where does the baby come from? When a 5-year-old asks you, where does a baby come from? It is akin to what is sex when a 10-year-old is asking it. That's the truth. That is the truth. So your 4-year-old might not necessarily come and tell you what is sex, but they can ask you, where does baby come from? And that's one of the key questions. And when they ask you that, what do you say? Many of you say that they vomit a child from the mouth. Some of you say, oh, they poo-poo the child from the bottom. Oh, some of you say that, oh, all those things, all those nonsense. Don't try it with a 5-year-old in 2023. Don't. Come and learn what should be right. All right? How should you answer a 7-year-old what sexual immorality is? Follow the same thing I'm sharing. And who is asking that question? Amaka Emmanuel, if you have not registered for Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro, you are playing. Please get into that class. All right? You're playing with fire. Okay? Very important. So when can I have sex? You answer it according to your value and make sure that you're not listening. You're not contradicting yourself. If you're just joining, please go back to the stream. It's going to be on our YouTube channel and you can get your answer so that we can move forward. Okay. Okay. The kind of questions I'm seeing here is making me laugh. All right. Somebody said how to make your children know that they are your best friends. Your children are not your best friend. They're not your friend at all. Scratch it. Get into Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro. All these plenty questions you're asking, you're looking for tips and hacks. Don't play. Get in and come and learn. Your child is not your friend. There is nothing like that. You see that thing that you have been learning? They tell you, oh, make your children your friend so that they'll be able to listen to you. That's one of the greatest disaster of sex conversation. That's one of the greatest disaster. Greatest. when you want to feel like a teenager. I'm going to talk about it as sex educate your child like a pro. Okay. All right. So come and learn. Let's move on. Another question that your child is going to be asking you is, were you a virgin when you got married? These are usually among senior teens. These are usually among senior teens. Were you a virgin when you got married? I know. Most of you want to lie. Most of you want to say, some of you don't want to lie, you dodge the question. You are doing yourself. The worst thing that happens is let your child hear about how does my one of my friends say it, about your misbehaviors and sins from outside. So imagine you say, I know, when I got married, I was just a virgin, everything was just perfect. And then one of your sisters come, and then you play just and say, do you remember Boniface? That time that you were dating Boniface now, that I now came, that you were, I saw you people, doing something, and I wanted to report to mommy, and that's it. Your secret in the open. Your child stops trusting you. Or maybe your friend comes and say, that boy that you were sleeping with in second university, how far now? Have you ever seen him? Meanwhile, your child is there, your 16-year-old is listening to you. Don't go and tell your child what is not true. See, whether you got married as a virgin, non-virgin, or according to your value, not your value, you can share sincerely. Many of the times we think that vulnerability would actually make things more difficult, but that's not true. When you are vulnerable, your children can actually learn from you a lot much more. Now, how do you answer such a question? You can answer by telling your child that, okay, this is what happened to me. This is why I got married. This is why I made those choices. But in hindsight, this is the choices I would have made. You tell your children, right? And I was a virgin when I got married. And meanwhile, on your wedding picture, you were pregnant. Or they are calculating your anniversary. They were born before the anniversary. Some of these things, they are not okay. Please don't say that. It puts you in a place where your children cannot even trust you. Be sincere. If it was a mistake that should have happened, yes, so if it's a mistake that should have happened, before, yes, please say, okay, this is why I made these choices. It was a choice I made. This was the consequences of that choice. And this is why I am helping you make a better choice. If it's a choice you have made that you are embarrassed about, never lie about it. Never, ever. You see lies on this conversation, it doesn't take you anywhere. All the lies that our parents lied to us, what did you do? When they told us that you vomit children from the mouth. When they told us that when a boy touches your lap, you get pregnant. All those lies. Is there any of them? Didn't you try? Did he make you not to try anything? People think that when they tell their children the truth, it will make them more curious. All right? And for the record, virginity is not a skill. It's a morality issue. And I agree. It's a good thing, but don't just raise your children on the premise of, I was a virgin, and you can be a virgin and be foolish. Parents in the inner circle understand this. You can be a virgin, all right, and be foolish. So I'm a virgin. So let your child understand that, okay, these were the choices you made, and this is why you made those choices. So don't make it look as if you want to apply. You see, the infallibility narrative in parenting is one of the killer narratives. All right? It's one of the killer narratives. Don't share it. You see that narrative where all our parents came first? You see that narrative where they told us that nobody came last? Scratch it. Throw it in the bin. If you came last in your study, in your school, or please share it with your children with the lessons. I remember my husband sharing with our children about failing maths. He was a very good math student, and he had gone to school, and people told him, maths is very difficult, blah, blah, blah. That was in uni. And he said for the first time, I failed Math 101 because I just heard people saying that, if you don't do this, you're going to fail it. And then he came back to rewrite it and made a B, even without just, reading it. That story keeps my children, as it makes them just realize, it's maths now. It's maths. Recently, I was having a conversation with our son. And, I was talking to him about maths. And he said, and he was like, I said, your math. He said, Mommy, you should not be asking me what I score in maths now. It's 10 over 10. They will just remove a point if they wish. But of course, it's mathematics. I asked my daughter was like 9 over 10. You know why? Because they have learned from our errors. I was a very bad math student also. And I've shared with my children what made me not to do maths very well. I was a top student. I came out top of my class in uni. So it's not an intelligent issue. I'm not afraid to say that I failed. And it's okay. So if you failed even in sexual morality, please share it. It is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Your children will learn to do better. And because I wasn't such a good math student, I told him, I said, that's why I went to the medical field. That's why, I started doing research on how children can learn to become math guru without hiring a math teacher. It's one of the things that we teach in the inner circle. Your child can be a math guru without you hiring a math teacher. I've never hired one before. But my son does 100% in maths. Known fact. So it can push you to do what is right. So don't make it look at, like it's one bad thing. No, be vulnerable enough to say that, yes, this is what happened to me. This is why those decisions happen. And it can save a life. It can save a life. Right? Another question your child can ask you is, I hear that question a lot, what are condoms? My daughter asked me one time, do people get pregnant every time they have sex? Do people get pregnant every time please, somebody's asking a very vivid question and I want to answer it. Can you tell them about aborting while chatting? Please, there are conversations that if you must be able to understand where it is that your child is. Sex conversation is not a one-off thing. It's not sit down it's not sit down a child and tell them your life history kind of conversation. As you journey through life, if this is warranted at the point of your life where it is, please sit down and talk to them. Don't just say, so when I was your age, I had an abortion. No. That's not what we're talking about. All right? As you journey through life, you would hear when you would need to share your experiences, your vulnerability, the things that happen to you for you to actually be able to teach your child with it. All right? Please join Sex Educate your child like a pro. Don't go and make mistakes. So, what are condoms? My daughter asked me, do you get pregnant every time you have sex? In all honesty, I was actually hoping at that point. What I wanted to tell my daughter was, yes. That's what they told you when you were young kind of thing. The first thing you want to do is to use fear. Yes, once you have sex, you're going to get pregnant, but that's a lie. So I told my daughter, I said, that's a lie. That's why there's something called contraceptives. And if I'm going to be pregnant every time I have sex, I'll be married for 14 years. It means I'm going to have 14 children. But I have only 2 of you. So you need to understand, at a time where your children are asking things and how you can be sincere about it. You tell them what condoms are. It means that they've come across it. That's why they're asking you. And if you do not give them the answer, the appropriate answer at that time, that might make a mess. This is actually very important. All right? This is actually very, very important. So answer your children sincerely. Let them know that, okay, this is what condoms are, this is what contraceptives are. Have the contraceptive conversations with your teenagers. I started that conversation with my daughter when she was 11. She stumbled on it before I started it. I took up the opportunity and started teaching it with tenacity. I don't resist. Abby, I don't slow down. I remember when they were teaching them something in year one, JSS1, and my daughter came back and said, I rarely even listened to that class, but I made an A. I was like, why? He said, Mommy, everything in that class is what you teach every minute. Like, you sound it when you're passing, when you're, even sing along with it and all of that. I know this production now. I know it's like a medical person self. This is very important. So share sincerely. Another question you will hear your children ask is, what is porn? What is porn? I've heard people, ask this question, what is porn? But, parents are too afraid to say, oh, this is what porn is. Porn is this, porn is that. And that's why porn conversation is a key conversation you must have with every child. Very key conversation. Porn conversation. So your children are going to be asking you what is porn. If they are not asking you what is porn, go and check. They're asking Google, they're asking a friend, they're asking somebody. Especially when they get to a time where they started having all of these things, hearing all of these things, in their heads and all of that. Or when they will ask you what is prostitution. My daughter have asked me before, what is prostitution, Mom? So you're going to be having these tough questions come your way. Or they might find a sexual content on the computer at home. You need to have a conversation about pornography with your child. You can begin by talking about the history of sex a little bit. When it comes to prostitution, it's actually one of the oldest professions, and some people sell sex as service to the people. It's also in the Bible. Some people were prostitutes. Tell them they engage in sex with someone in exchange for money. That's what prostitution is. If you have some values around it, insert it. If you feel like there's something that people shouldn't do, or and all of that, insert it. Whatever your values are around prostitution, this is the time to talk about it. When it comes to pornography, let your children know, maybe your children are online. It's likely that your child may have seen, porn or whatever. You may get this question in variations. You can see, them say, sometimes people sell sex and, they record themselves. You can actually tell them that and have sex doing something, and it's called pornography. It is something that, adults do and all of that, and it's a lot of stuff on the internet people are showing, but then you insert your value. Tell them that that's not how it is that is created. Tell them what it is and how sex was actually. Don't demonize this thing. It's not a demon. It's not a demon. If you ever see something that makes them feel uncomfortable and they ask questions that, as if they are in trouble, your children stumble on porn and they can't come to you. There's a problem with that relationship. Because if you allow your children to go and ask Google, you'll be shocked. Do you know that if you put what is love on Google, you would be amazed at the kind of answers you're going to see. You'll be amazed. Amazed. You will see all manner of answers. All manner. Answers from everywhere. Just what is love? I'm going to share the last one as we begin to round up. All of the questions and how to respond to them. All right, we're going to be sharing at Sex Educate Your Child like a pro. We're going to be saying about 20 questions and what to say. All right, the last one. Can I become a boy even though I'm a girl? Can I become a girl even though I'm a boy? Don't start binding your child. Sometimes you hear children say, I like this girl. I don't know why I'm liking a girl. Don't start binding. There's nothing to bind. Pray if you want. Parents talk about prayer like prayer is supposed to be them doing a favor to your child. You're not doing any favor to your child by praying for them. It's your responsibility. Prayer is a responsibility. See, when I ask parents, so when this happened, what did you do about it? I hear parents say, hey, I've been praying for them. You make it look as if this is prayer is a responsibility. It's like you saying, oh, your child has been ill. What have you done? And you say, oh, I've been feeding them with food. Can you see how it sounds? I've been feeding them with food. I give them food. You literally sound, like you don't know what you're saying. So prayer is part of your responsibility. And it's okay. So it is very important When they ask you, tell you things like that, sit back and think, where is this coming from? Why is this coming from? And then you begin to reassure. There's something that I wrote on Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro on gender conversation. We're going to be talking about the LGBTQ conversation deeper at Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro. All right? Gender conversations. And I was sharing how you can start gender affirmation. Is being proven. Forget the LGBTQ movement. That a lot of teenagers are actually confused about their gender at some point. And that's because a lot of parents do not consider the fact that they need to reaffirm their children at a certain point. This is very important. It's very, very important. So when you embed your values in these processes, the truth of the matter is you will not have conversations like, I hope you remain a virgin before you get married. That's a conversation without wisdom. I don't want to say that you're foolish. But that's a conversation without wisdom. If you put in the right systems, you don't need to have that conversation in that manner. The conversation will flow the way it should be flown, the way it should flow. There won't be any need to sit a child down and say, I just want to tell you that marrying as a virgin is the best thing that can happen to you. When your values are in place, they speak for themselves. Let me say that again. When your values are in place, they speak for themselves. So the first thing on this conversation, so that parents don't begin to think that, oh, I need to just, start to create this thing. Meet them where they are. You need to meet them where they are. The problem is, a lot of parents don't even know where their children are developmentally. Where is your child developmentally? Where is your child? You need to know where they are so that you can meet them at the point where they are. This will be about the last class we're going to have on Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro before we have the challenge on Monday. You want to be at that challenge because that challenge is going to turn what it is that you know about sex. You see, all of the demonization, all of the trying to make things look like it's one hard fact. No, it's not. When you get things right, I was sharing with the parents in the inner circle, and I was talking to them. I was saying, I've raised a teenager. I've raised someone who got married. There was never a day where we start down and say, if you're a virgin, it's going to be for your own benefit. Sexual purity is what it is. There were values in place. The values spoke for themselves. The values spoke for themselves. And this is very key. So don't be speaking one language and you are insinuating one language. See, it's called program. When you program appropriately, sex conversation becomes easy. So there are things that you don't need to be saying. Some things you are afraid of saying because you're not doing the work. There are things you don't need to be saying. And again, if your children are not coming to you to ask you questions, you're wrong. The first thing you want to do is to you run for your life, because it means that you have not built enough connection with that child to be able to ask you questions. You have not built connection enough with that child to be able to ask you those kind of personal questions. So no matter how close you are to your child, and your child is not using you as a soundboard for these questions, forget it. Your parenting needs emergency rescue. Even if you have a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, they're not curious enough to ask you some of these curious questions. It's not because they are not seeing it. They're not being it. Your children are in school. Your children are seeing things online. The children are seeing things in books. They are not curious enough to bring their curiosity to you. Your parenting needs very urgent, meet. This is very, very key. So my child is not asking me. My child is that they are asking someone. Thank you, Uncle Ben. They are asking somebody else. And it's so dangerous. So I see people say, oh, no, my children are not exposed. They don't ask those kind of questions. Who told you now? Why do we say things like that? They're asking somebody. The question is, who are they asking? Who are they asking? So very many of the times, you find parents who actually tell themselves, lie to themselves. And, we just want to tell ourselves that these things don't exist. But that's not true. They exist. They are there. They are there. Your children are asking questions. So please, stand up now, run. Like, run for your life. Get into sex educate your child like a pro and begin to learn. The first thing you want to do before you even start sex conversation with your children is to build connection with them. A child you are not connected with cannot, I did not say will not, cannot have sex conversation with your child, with you, sorry. Let me say that again. A child you are not connected with cannot have sex conversations with you. I didn't say will not, cannot. Most of us never had any sex conversation with our parents. It's because there was no connection. Quote me anywhere. My name is Wendy Ologe. The child cannot. Your first point of call is to connect with your child. All right? Go and get connect to correct before you start asking me, how do I do that? Connect with your child. The second point of call is to love your child unconditionally. Go and get the book, How to Love Your Child More. And then this conversation can begin to happen. We have some other books. Walking Your Child Through Puberty. It comes with a workbook. You can get it. We have Sibling Rivalry. We have The Discipline That Works. We have Parenting Launch Plan. Parenting Launch Plan is our manual in the academy. Without this manual, you go nowhere. This manual is key. That's what documentation is. When you open it, you will know that this is not Google anything. We have From Yelling to Calm. And then we have Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro, Volume 1 and 2. All right? You want to get into Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro challenge now. Then we have Resolving Sibling Rivalry. All of these books I've mentioned are available on Amazon. All right? I've also talked about Raising the Independent Thinking Child earlier. They are available on Amazon. They are available in our stores, in our distributors, places in Nigeria. You might want to get a copy. But most importantly, get into Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro. We'll be leading over almost 6,000 parents as at today. All right? If you do not register, you're on your own. No. Your child is going to be asking somebody. Your child is going to be there looking for answers everywhere. This is very key. All right? Very, very key. If your children do not bring curiosity to you, your parenting needs emergency rescue plan. That's it. Your parenting needs emergency rescue plan. A real emergency. Don't let your parenting get to a point where you are running kitty. You're having to pay for this, pay this little money now. Because if you do not pay today, you will pay tomorrow. Either way, you pay the price. You won't escape it. That's one thing I know. I've done this for many years, and I've seen parents do it. Let me end with this last story. A particular parent had watched me for quite a number of years, and I've seen all the job that I do. She said, oh, she applaud it. But she said to me that this sex conversation that you share is not really for Christian homes, because in Christian homes, we are praying. So because of that, we don't need this kind of things. Our children are taught of the Lord. Our children are covered by his blood. I'm a Christian. All right? So, yes, I got it. I didn't argue with her. And it was okay. She said, oh, it's for people who don't know God. So, people who don't know God, who need to learn, but they are covered. And I know that this is how many people, many religious people think. Then, when they were now, after like about 2 years, somebody reached out to me weeping. What has happened? She lives outside of Nigeria. I will not call the country, but her child had just woken up that morning. Her child was only 13, and told her that for the record, please, I am not straight, I'm gay. The child was only 13. She went mad, literally. She called me, all right, and she was weeping. She was saying, I thought that this thing is not, and she's not the only one. I've had 3 cases like this. All right, I'll tell you about the second case before I close. And no, she was weeping. She said, I didn't know that this. And unfortunately, at the time she found out, it was already late. The child had gone to register to be transitioned. As I speak to you, she's a Nigerian parent. She can't speak up. Her child is being transitioned. If you want, be playing. And I know some people are listening to me and say, I know it's not in Nigeria, it's abroad and everything. It's okay. Continue. I was broken, but there was nothing I could do. And unfortunately, she had also paid for sessions, spent some good millions before we got to that point. And the truth of the matter at that point is there's nothing that we could do. There was nothing. Truly, the government had taken over. And, by the time we were suggesting maybe leave the country, come back to Nigeria and all of that, everything was over and done with. That is the price. Ignorance has a price. That's the truth. It does. I asked her a question when she came to me. Did you ever speak to this child about gender biphobia? She said, why? But I already told you I was praying. I was a prayerful woman. My family was very prayerful. My husband was a pastor in Nigeria before we left. Don't talk about those things. They play. The second woman was someone who had also followed me on social media for so long. And then she appears in my office one of those days, weeping. She had booked a session. A session with me will cost you as much as you will pay for inner circle annual fee. And that's just 1 hour. And then immediately, I started to have conversation with her. She booked and came here. She wept, as in she wept she used 10 minutes to weep. What has happened? She has found her 12-year-old doing porn and masturbating. And this child has been watching porn for the past 3 years. So it means that this child had been watching porn from age 9. And she just got to find out. And she said, when you say these things, I took it for granted. I said to myself that it's not for Christian parents. It's not for Christian parents. She wept. Her case was a bit different. We were able to do some therapy for the boy and all of that. But let me tell you the truth. A child who has gone into porn, the brain doesn't really delete. You can rewire. But you have actually set the child on a pace of recovery. This is very key. Again, you are the first beneficiary of ineffective or effective parenting first, before your child or even the society. Or even the society. So don't just listen to me and just say, oh, what is he saying? No. It's all for people that are. I had to share these 2 stories as I round up today. All right? The truth of the matter is that without knowledge and wisdom, you will be running kitty kata kata. Because the Bible says that knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of our times. You see, when they say, oh, LGBTQ this one, oh, the world is spoiling, people are running, people are almost palpitating. I'm not. And the parents in the inner circle are not. I will tell you the truth. We're not jumping up and down, thinking, oh, what's happening? Hey, yeah, oh, and all of that. And all of no. We are actually in a place of knowledge. You can see that we're not agitated. See, what will come has come. The world as you know it has changed for life. You see all those, in my time, it was not like this. Scratch it, throw it in the bin. It will never come again. Your time is gone for life. Your time is gone for life. So saying in my time is foolishness of the highest order. You need to begin to ask yourself, what can I do now? What can I do now to make things different? Things have changed, There's nothing. All this, we're praying, it will not come to Nigeria. We're praying, please snap out of your slumber. The world has changed. The question will be, what happens to you and your family Are you going to be running the race of separation? Inner circle parents understand when I say separation. Are you going to be separated? That's the word. Separated is a word. Parenting is war. How you fight is how you finish. Where you end is where you give permission for the next generation to run from. It doesn't matter how you complain. It doesn't matter how you pray. This time was actually prophesied to come. We are in super perilous times. So all this when you post something, so let's go forbid, we are praying to never come near us. Just relax. You will not be stable if you do not have wisdom and knowledge in these times. Our times are gone. We're in a new age, new times. And there are some things that we must pay attention to. And one of it is how you're parenting. If you are not in a parenting academy today, these days we're no longer even begging. Oh, come and join. Those days we used to be, come and join. Come and help these children. Don't join. Stay out. You will pay the price. The price of ignorance is big. I've seen it. You will pay the price when the time reaches. You see this 70K per year that you're supposed to pay for the academy, you will spend it in split seconds looking for answers. Answers that you might never get. Like that woman that lived abroad, the answers are gone and gone forever. That child has transitioned. She's in the process. She's almost all done. Anytime I remember that story, I feel sad. Generation gone. Destiny destroyed. Because of one error of one person. So the choice is yours. The choice is yours. Is it that you join the separation mandate or you are just saying, oh no, what is it that you'll be out there? So it's no longer a time where we are emotional about, it's no longer an emotional decision to learn parenting. It's not. I want to, I don't want to. You don't even have the choice of wanting to or not wanting to. It is compulsory. If you're going to raise any child, it will be different. Compulsory. Right? Somebody is asking us about Ghana, that we have a pickup point in Ghana. Just send us a chat to that number and we'll share details for you. Alrighty, I think that is it. That is it. All right. Yes. Yeah, so in the inner circle, we are building our own tribe for separation and for preservation. There is no preservation without you actually working towards it. Okay. This is very, very, very key. All right. So see you at Sex Educate Your Child like a pro. Right. See you there. Begin to go and learn. There is no longer an excuse for not learning. If you want, don't learn. It's okay not to want to learn. It's also okay. All right. Also okay not to want to learn. It's a choice. You choose to or you choose not to. Right? And so details on how to join Sex Educate Your Child like a pro is right on my screen. All right. Do not leave your parenting journey to chance and all of that. Somebody said sounding arrogant. And, if that is what you do, sorry. that actually made me laugh. So one of the things that we say in the inner circle is it's not pride, it's self-preservation. So you either choose self-preservation or you choose to call it pride. Whichever one you choose to call it, we're fine. We're fine. But it's still a choice, right? You choose to learn or not to learn. Bottom line, the result is going to be very glaring in your face. It's as simple as that. There is no excuse. Humble yourself and learn. That's the only way. So all these, they tell it to me this way or that way. Take yourself down and learn through the process. See you at Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro 3.0, taking off on Monday. Register now, see details on my screen. You can also see that link is clickable in the description, or you can chat any of the numbers that you see scrolling through. You want to get our books, reach out to us, and we'll give you details. I want to say thank you for joining me today. All right. It is been an amazing time. Okay. Yes, there's no excuse for remaining ignorant. You remain ignorant at your own peril. You decide to remain, it is your choice. I can't even force you. She'll be on the screen. I can't force you to, be whether to be in knowledge or to be ignorant. My job is done here. The choice is yours. Finally. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. And you can put whatever it is that you picked up in the session today right in the comment. All right? And see you right in Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro. Remember that everybody who registers for Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro is going to have access to Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro 1.0 and 2.0. All right? You have access to it so that you can, learn. All right? And this is so, so, so key, right? So you go through it before we even start Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro 3.0. I hope this was valuable to you, all right? This was valuable to you. Bottom line, what we speak is the truth, all right? When the truth is spoken, you will hear it, even though sometimes it rubs you off wrongly, but hey, the truth is the truth. I don't know how to paint it. This is the truth. Some people don't like it, but hey, it is what it is. See you at Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro.